And good afternoon or good evening, depending on which part of the world you are in. I am RaikouRider. I'm glad all of you could join me for this wonderful exhibition of Dig Shake Zelda 2 Randomizer for NASA 2020 benefiting Save the Children. On with me is my co-commentator Melee Wizard.
Hello.
And we'll just do one more refresh real quick to see what the file name is. It looks like we do have a file name. So I'll get that entered real quick. So if you wouldn't mind, this randomizer has been around for quite some time. I know how to spell, I swear. This was created several years ago. I want to say in 2017 was when the randomizer was created. But in any case, we'll get into the details on how this randomizer originated, as well as what exactly has been changed about this from the vanilla game. So we will get started very shortly. Timing is going to begin on gaining control of Link in 3, 2, 1, go. So as was donated, you are seeing the sprite of Error. The origin of this is one of the NPCs in the first town in the vanilla game was originally supposed to be called Bagu, but Bagu wound up being mistranslated to be Error. And the name is just stuck.
Well, I mean, there is a Bagu, which apparently was originally supposed to be Bug, to kind of play on words with, error and bug and all that.
So in the early game, we're going to be looking out for a couple of different things. We're going to be looking out for these caves that have items in them. That was one of them. That was the Magic Container Cave. And we're also going to be looking out for towns.
Yep. Towns being the... if nothing else, you can get good information regarding spells and whatnot. And looks like we just found Palace 1.
Palace 1. Now, until I'm familiar with the experience situation in this seed, I'm not going to be actually doing too much exploration of palaces. Generally speaking, you want to be as prepared as possible going into palaces. So get those low-hanging fruit, those items, early. Now, this cave can be a little bit dangerous, just because of the large enemies in the back. The enemies are randomized in such a way that small enemies are replaced with small enemies, and large enemies are replaced with large. And large enemies tend to be quite dangerous in the early game, as you can see. So my leveling strategy for the randomizer is going to be to try to get up to a certain amount of attack value. Oh, that's an any key. That's very nice.
Oh, yeah, that is glorious. So, dungeon diving just got a little bit less imposing.
And Palace 1 is the only palace in the game that I will actually dive without a way through doors. So what the randomizer does to make sure that it's completable is it makes sure that you have a way through locked doors, which can either be... Oh, that was rude. It can either be the fairy spell or the magical key that I just picked up. So now all of the items in palaces are fair game. And if you wouldn't mind, Melee Wizard, you would be... while I'm doing exploration of the immediate overworld map, you can go into details about what exactly is randomized.
Easier question is, what isn't? As you can see, we have a procedurally generated overworld, so you quite literally don't know where anything is. Under these specific flags, as you can see, as you saw, we did start with the candle, which is a good quality of life, especially for those who aren't as familiar with the game and not know how things are laid out. Naturally, the towns are randomized, although the towns are restricted to their various continents. So, Rauru, Ruto, Saria, and Maido will be on the left continent. Naburu, Darunia, Old Kasuto, New Kasuto will be on the eastern continent. The palaces are not under those restrictions, so there will be 4 palaces, 3 palaces.
That's such a nice find. That's Thunder, that's not only Thunder, it is castable Thunder at Magic 2. That's huge.
Helps that you have the 5th magic bar. Anyway, any of the palaces could be on either side. So, for all we know, the second palace we find could very well be the Great Palace.
So that boulder... Oh, there's Palace 7.
Case in point, there's the Great Palace right there on the western continent. Granted, we can't do anything here right now because we still have to place all 6 gems, which is an option in the randomizer. You could have it be 6 gems, 0 gems, anywhere in between, or just completely random. It is the full 6 on this one. Other options, you have the option of whether or not 3-Eye Rock is present, which would require the flute, and also whether or not New Kasuto is hidden or not, which would require the hammer. Both of those are on for this.
For the tournament, we had those set at 50-50 to be off or on. We have a couple tournaments every year. One of which has a more accessible flag set, such as this one, and a second tournament that randomizes just about everything possible.
Lovingly referred to as Max Rando. I, for one, am... that's probably my favorite format, honestly, because you never know what you're getting, quite literally. Because with that, you could actually start with a whole bunch of items, or you could start with nothing.
Oh, absolutely. Another thing that we haven't touched on quite yet is, with our tournaments, the drop tables are not only randomized, but everyone will get the same drops in the same order. So if you're paying attention to your drops, you'll be able to know when you have certain items coming.
And the drop tables themselves have been expanded to pretty much everything. The blue jar, red jar, all the various levels of P-bags, and 1-ups and keys. So if you don't end up getting the magical key, you could still get enough random key drops to get you through.
Which is very important when your way through doors is fairy. Oh, that actually just leads back to the start.
Oops. There was another palace to the upper left, to the northwest of there, though. I don't think we had seen what that was yet.
Yeah, I don't think we have. I'm gonna go take a look. It is either 2 or 5. We do not know yet.
There is a way to find out. If you slash the statue in this case, if it's a red magic jar, it's 2. If it's nothing, it's 5.
So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is continue focusing on trying to find items. The big item we're looking for early is the raft. The raft lets us get to the eastern continent, which has a handful of other items in the rest of the towns.
As such, the raft is required to be on the west in somewhere. And goodness knows, we do have a hint system in this game, and it's always fun to get a raft lies in the west when you, as a hint, you find in the east.
A little bit. So one of the reasons why I'm killing so many enemies is to try to cycle through my drops to see if there might be a 500 bag in them. Because if you can find a 500 bag, then generally speaking, you don't have to worry too much about levels. But I will definitely take all these 200 bags. The 200 bags still give you a good amount of experience up until you hit about attack 4, when at that point, you're going to mostly be getting your attack levels through gems.
So, going back to what is randomized in here, the palace layouts are completely random. So, you will not be seeing the vanilla layouts, which will become very, very fun once we actually get to digging Great Palace itself. Although, for Great Palace specifically, has been shortened, so that a lot of the pass-throughs that are of little consequence otherwise have been taken out, if memory serves. And there is the option of whether or not Thunderbird is required, though even if that flag is off, Thunderbird might just coincidentally be in the way anyway.
But we won't see Thunderbird until we get into Palace 7.
Right,
for now, though, I generally try to avoid palaces early because of my leveling strategy, but because we have the magical key, all the palaces are fair game for progression, and I would not be surprised to see a raft in one of the palaces.
And one of the quality of life improvements this game offers, there is a flag that allows you, when you game over in a palace, you start over at the start of that palace, which in vanilla is only the case in Great Palace itself.
And that's very, very important in Randomizer, because you can use that feature to refresh your lives whenever you run into a palace. Which it's a little bit less important when you have 1-ups in the drop pool, but it's still very nice to be able to do so. Especially given how many death traps there are in these palaces, they can just eat your lives up.
Oh
easily.
Yes. Just the number of blue iron knuckles that you could find lying around in any given dungeon can be distressing at times.
Easily. Alright, now we have our item room in Palace 1. Just going to need to get through a couple more enemies to get to it. And we have... What did I say about Raft being in a palace?
Alright, well there's our access to the Eastern Continent right there. Although, at 323, going there is not a, I'm not going to say viable, it's not going to be friendly.
Oh no. I also like to see downstab before going there.
Ah, yes.
And currently we do not have a way to... Thanks, Horsehead.
Ooh, wow.
Horsehead, please. This fight is not difficult. There we go. The fight seriously is not hard.
Well, probably the most deceptive part is it feels like Horsehead's hitbox is higher than it should be.
So now we'll have our first gem placed, and part of the experience route that I have is trying to take advantage of the gems as much as possible to be able to gain attack levels. When I found that raft, I was considering just leaving the palace specifically to save the gem for later. Oh my, this screen is not fun. This is one of the reasons why I try to avoid this screen if at all possible, because this is not fun.
Yeah, Bogos on this screen in particular is a nightmare waiting to happen.
And sometimes that might be your only way through to where your next progression item might be, like, say, at this grass tile.
Well, there's the Water of Life.
Yeah, we have the medicine. So now, once we find the town of Mido, we will be able to turn that medicine in to obtain a stall.
Fortunately, since we don't have fairy or life or jump yet, we wouldn't be able to get the downstab, at least not yet.
There's Rudo. We cannot do anything in this town right now, but I am going to take the opportunity to refill my health and see if we can find perhaps some information on where items are. There are 4 NPCs that will have hints for us. They are scattered randomly among all of the towns, and then we also have hints for the spell items that are guaranteed. So for instance, this lady requires the trophy, and she will tell you where the trophy is. Barba slithers with the trophy means that the trophy will be located in Palace 6. So
which is good information to have, and as we see how the spells break down in which towns each spell is, it'll give us more. We'll figure out whether or not that we actually have to do that. Because digging out the item in 6 doesn't seem like the funnest thing to do.
Oh no, not at all. 6 is one of the largest palaces.
Basically, if you have to dig the item out of 5 or 6, you're in for an interesting time.
Oh, absolutely. Any palaces that are large just tend to be a complete nightmare. But especially 6 because of the large number of items that can be required to be able to get everything out of those palaces. Palace 6 can require fairy. Oh. We already knew that. Thanks, bot. That's old news. So that was one of the 4 hints. Go west to find the magic key. That means that you will find the magic key somewhere in the overworld on the western continent.
Specifically, not in Death Mountain as well, because that's
correct. Death Mountain is
location category.
And there's our fairy spell. So now I'm going to try to locate. Now I'm going to try to locate Mido and then head east. There are still 3 item caves in the western continent, but 2 of them require the hammer to get to. Any cave that is sealed off by a boulder is guaranteed to contain an item and not be a transport cave. There are 3 transport caves in the west and 5 in the east. So I am still looking out for that one open item cave that could potentially have something useful.
Plus, in the west, there's also the 2 entrances to Death Mountain.
Correct. Generally speaking, if I have a hammer, I'm more apt to try to take a peek around Death Mountain as soon as I find it. But if I don't have a hammer, I want to try to avoid Death Mountain if at all possible. Death Mountain is not a fun place to search.
Yeah, not only is there a ton of pass-through caves in Death Mountain, a lot of them look exactly the same. Or at least unless you know, like, all the little tiny details, they might as well be all
almost exactly the same. There are 43 entrances in Death Mountain. And one of them has an item, and the other 42 are 21 pairs of pass-through caves, and this will be our last item, actually.
I think we still haven't... Oh, well, okay, yeah, the other ones would be hammerlocked, right?
Yes, the other ones are hammerlocked, so I wouldn't mind seeing a hammer here. I also wouldn't mind seeing that!
Oh yes!
Glove. That item's kinda good. That's the glove. The glove is required to be over 99.9% of seeds.
Yep. Because the glove allows you to break specific blocks, which can be found in most of the palaces.
Including Great Palace. I want to say the number of seeds that we have found that have been beatable without the glove is in the single digits across the entire community.
Yeah, considering the niche circumstances that would allow for that, yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, and this is one of the big reasons why we try to avoid desert tiles, if at all possible, in the Western continent.
Yeah, because in the southern half of the West, strong encounters have a lot of large enemies, which can lead to stuff like that.
It's actually the weak encounters that have them, because in the vanilla game, they are the those tall, like, white enemies.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
Alright, so we have a rosary in the east. And that item's not actually useful until we get to the eastern continent. To be able to enter this door as a fairy, you need to be casting the fairy spell while you're standing on the ground, because when you cast the fairy spell, Link's state of motion is preserved, and that will come into play. That will come into play again when we get to the eastern continent and locate the town of Darunia. Also of note, we're able to complete everything in the town of Mido our first trip through, which is very unusual.
But very welcome.
Oh, absolutely. So since we have the Water of Life, we are able to turn this in for a spell. We're still looking for Reflect to be able to finish the game, but most of the spells will be welcome, including that one, Shield.
Yep. Shield cuts the damage you take in half, which in certain fights can be very, very useful.
So now that we have the Western continent mostly explored, we found all the palaces, we found all of the relevant... We found all the towns as well. We found everything there is, except for one of the Death Mountain entrances, so I'm gonna go ahead and just head east. To an eastern continent that makes our creator Digshake see dollar signs.
I thought this was Z2 Rando, not Dragon Warrior Rando. Big Swamp, anyone?
Oh, and speaking of Darunia...
Ooh, okay.
Speaking of Darunia, we can find out where the child we need to save is. Even in Zelda 2 Randomizer, all about saving the kids. So now to enter this house as a fairy, you need to actually duck, because again, when you cast the fairy spell, it preserves your current movement state as Link. And you need to duck into that chimney to be able to enter this house where the upstab is located.
And there have been some runners that don't really care much about upstab, but it can be helpful, and in some situations, it can be required.
Yes, there are a couple of rooms in Great Palace that can require a combination of the jump spell and upstab to get through. But I don't believe that upstab can be required anywhere outside of that. But it can be very helpful. So now we will see where the child is located. Okay, so we know that the child is in one of those two caves out west that is behind the hammer. So if we want to save the children, we're going to need to find the hammer.
And I want to say the other hints come from stationary NPCs only, if memory serves.
Not entirely. You are mostly correct in that they come from primarily stationary NPCs. They come from NPCs that are generated fixed instead of random.
Ah, fair enough.
And this is why Eastern Continent is very treacherous without the appropriate levels.
Yep.
So the reason why I was trying to kill that orange Lizalfos is because the orange Lizalfos have a large number of experience points that they give. They can be worth up to 300. One thing that we did one thing I'm not sure that you touched on is the randomization of the amount of experience that is received.
Ah, yes. The any given enemy has the experience that it gives. I believe it's randomized anywhere within 2 steps of vanilla.
That's correct.
So I think the lowest you can give an enemy can give is 2, or at least assuming they give any. I think it's like 2, 3, 5, 10, 20, etc.
Correct.
And I think the highest is 500.
The highest
for non-bosses.
For non-bosses, yes. Which can be either blue Lizalfos or Magos. Both of which, the blue Lizalfos are very dangerous, and the Magos are very time-consuming to kill. So generally speaking, you won't see runners go after those.
Yeah, for a good indication of how nasty the blue Lizalfos was, basically imagine those red Dairas we were seeing, except they have iron knuckle shields.
Another thing that I like to go for in the Eastern Continent is there are a lot of 500 bags in the minor item pool for the Eastern Continent.
And the minor item pool is for stuff like that is not part of the randomization.
The minor item pool, those are randomized among themselves.
Ah.
Would we have a second for a quick message?
Oh, perfect.
Alright, so we would just like to remind all of you that we're NASA 2020, North American Speedrunner Assembly, a speedrunning marathon supporting Save the Children. We've raised over $2,000 already, $2,391 to be precise, over the span of the last weekend in, over like a day now. We are not stopping here. We are just $9 short of $2,400. And then we'll be looking into 2,500 soon. So get those donations in if you can. All of your donations are supporting Save the Children fully. Thank you so much for all of your donations.
Oh, it would be amazing if we could get to 2,500 during this run. Come on, let's keep it coming.
There's old Kasuto. So one other quality of life improvement is that the game does not. Not sure how you survive that. It normally the spells in the East have certain magic container requirements. The randomizer does have an option for you to remove those. So normally you would require all 8 magic containers to be able to get that spell. But in this case, we can just come in, grab the spell, and get out.
All right, so I can explain how I survived the encounter with those MOAs. If you take damage that would kill you, but you transition before your iframes run out. Oh man, this Eastern Continent is just eating me up.
Yeah, I knew about that. But I've never seen anyone avoid death by entering a door. I think that's the thing.
It's any transition.
I'm just used to seeing like the edge of the screen transition. I didn't know it was possible. I don't know if it's frame perfect or what to do it through a door, but seems impressive to me.
Usually you do it on a transition at the edge of the screen.
Yeah.
This was one. I'm debating on just getting Palace 2 out of the way.
Well, I don't think it was ever checked to see if it was 2 or 5.
If it was 2 or 5. And going into... And as much experience as there is available in Palace 2, or Palace 5, rather, going into Palace 5 with my current levels would be pretty risky. So at this point, I'm much more apt to try to search for a couple more things, such as maybe a life spell would be great. Maze Island, because we haven't found very many containers at all, just one magic container and no life. Because there are four of each of those in the item pool as well. Some boots would be nice to find. There's also that missing hammer.
Nothing else, having the boots would be able to get you to the raft spot faster, I think.
Oh, yes. So what the boots let you do is they let you walk over any water tile that is within the bounds of the map.
Yeah, like in the vanilla game, there's only specific spots that you can walk on water, but in the randomizer, as long as it's within the bounds of the map itself, it's all fair game.
So now the Lizalfos on the other side of the wall are actually pretty annoying to navigate around because they're smarter than most other enemies that use projectiles in that they actually lead their shots.
Do not aim where you are, aim where you are going to be. Oh boy.
I would rather not deal with that. With that side. I'm actually going to pop into this palace to see what it is. It's Palace 4.
We don't have Reflect yet,
Yes,
so we wouldn't be able to finish it.
We would not. I think what I'm going to do is just use it to refresh my lives, and then come back. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to use it to refresh my lives. That's taking advantage of restarting at palaces and game over, because that's what up and A on the second controller does. Is it forces an instant game over, and then you'll restart at the palace with all of your lives intact.
Definitely a handy thing when getting back to the Eastern Continent takes a while.
Such as this case, especially having to go through some very, very treacherous screens. Oh hey, there are the boots.
Nice.
And it is possible for the boots to be required as well. If there is a palace or a required item that is completely locked by a river or just a lake. I think there's an invisible Moa. Yep, there was an invisible Moa that was harassing me.
Oh dear.
Yeah, invisible Moas are not fun to deal with at all.
And that's why I respect the cross, because that's pretty much the only thing it does, is it reveals those Moas, and it, helps you live. I'm all for it.
Also, when you're in the Eastern Continent, rude. When you're in the Eastern Continent, you do also need to check the forest tiles.
Particularly when the possibility of hidden Kasuto is on. If you go into a single forest tile, at least in Rando, and you don't enter a scene like this one here, that's how you know where hidden Kasuto is, without just chopping all the trees down with a hammer that you may or may not have.
And that's very important. Oh hey, nice River Devil. So the River Devil requires the flute to be able to pass. Usually the River Devil is not important. The vast majority of the time there's a way around him, but occasionally you'll see one that's required to pass. And I don't really care for these two cliff screens either. You can always tell where these are because these are specifically represented by canyons on the world map. So you'll always know where these two screens are. And I usually try to avoid these when possible. Oh, that's helpful. The number of lives in the item pool is also helping out a ton. So there's one more... Oh, I need to mark that cave as complete. We're still looking for a couple more things. The biggest thing we're looking for right now is the entrance to Maze Island. Because Maze Island has a lot of stuff on it. Where are all the heart containers at? I kind of want to know where those are.
P5, P6.
Probably, knowing this game.
Just seeing a bunch of pass-throughs so far in the east. Only seen one.
Well, there are
one of the 2 item caves.
There are a lot of pass-throughs in the east, though. I believe there are 5.
Could we have a couple more seconds to mention a couple of upcoming incentives?
Oh, go for it.
All right. Coming up, we have a couple more incentives for you. It's gonna be the closest one is gonna be right after this randomizer ends, which is Octopath Traveler. You can choose either the Japanese voices or the English voices. Right now, the Japanese are winning by just a single dollar with $3. The English are on 2 right now. So if you want to turn the tables on that bid war, make sure to donate for it. We also have Sailor Scout choice for Bushuo Senshi Sailor Moon R. I assume that's the way you say it. The winning option is Sailor Jupiter right now with $10. The rest is at 0. You have you also have Sailor Mars, Sailor Mercury, Sailor Moon, and Sailor Venus to choose from. The third upcoming bid war is actually a game choice. You can choose between Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo or Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo R. So if you want either of the games to win, make sure to donate for that too. Thank you very much.
So there's a couple things that we had seen there. For one, we saw a heart container finally. We also saw pretty much right next to each other 3-Eye Rock and where a new Kusudo is. So it's nice that we don't have to search too far for those.
I'm beginning to think that Maze Island might be behind a pass-through. Because we've seen a lot of this eastern continent, and Maze Island is nowhere in sight. So the entrance to Maze Island, you can determine where that is by seeing a dock on the far right side of the eastern continent somewhere. Oh, do we need to talk about how ridiculous that lady is too?
It is clearly a test of your heroism.
Because she can't walk 25 feet to get water. Clearly.
Oh, she's guarding the door.
No, there should be.
She can't spare the time to walk that far.
Clearly,
something bad might happen.
So the reason why I'm still talking to people in this town is because there's still one more hint out there. And there are a couple more items we're still looking for. Hammer opens up a lot. And we're also still looking for the horn.
Also known as the flute.
There's a lot of other colorful names the community has come up with for that item. One of my favorite names for it is the plunger.
Ah, yes.
I got sandwiched by a couple enemies. So at least now that we have the boots, we can better navigate the Eastern Continent. And dying this much in Zelda 2 Randomizer is absolutely common.
Yeah. I would say as far as randomizers go, I think Zelda 2, just by its very nature, might have one of the biggest barriers to entry just because of how hard the vanilla game is.
Oh, absolutely. And the flag set that we're showing is one of the more accessible flag sets you can play with. Okay, so that's where that wound up being. So you can see just the amount of difference having these boots is making. It's enormous.
Yep. Just the amount of stuff you can get to just grows by leaps and bounds.
I'm also trying to figure out where the river is, where the Eastern Continent River, so I can follow that hopefully all the way over.
I want to say it was to the east of here.
There's also going to be a single water tile that we're looking out for.
Actually, I think I had seen that water tile. It was actually near, right by the river.
It is entirely possible that that could also just be just a random water tile that's associated with.
Right.
Just because of the way the world map is generated. I mean, I'll take a look at it. Yeah, that's just part of the river.
Okay, yeah. It was by itself. It could have been, but yeah.
It could absolutely have been.
Oh, let's see if we have access
there's
to
the water
logging.
tile.
Yep.
There's the water tile.
Aha! Yep, there we go.
And then Maze Island is probably back there too. All right, so that's our candle. Whenever you find an item that whenever you start with items in your inventory, any of those are replaced with the 500 point bags. And it does look like we do indeed have a boot blocked Maze Island. So those boots did wind up being very, very important.
Alright, so as with everything else, Maze Island is arranged randomly. And as such, all these encounter areas are in random locations, including the 2 drop-downs that lead to the items.
So you're going to be seeing me search every square inch of Maze Island until I find those 2 items. And having the boots for Maze Island helps out a ton as well, because you will never find random encounters on the water spots. So you can often get around the fixed encounters that are on Maze Island just by virtue of being able to go around them either by just walking or by just going over the water with your boots. And there is also a palace on Maze Island that I'm going to be taking a look at, and probably just clearing it.
Yeah, it's just getting here takes a while, so if it's feasible to get through here now, might as well.
Just a jar.
Well, more magic. It could help you. One other thing that's randomized. There's the first item in New Kasuto. I believe normally requires. Was it 7 heart?
7 jars. 7 magic jars.
In the randomizer, that is randomized to be anywhere between 5 and 7.
Correct.
So getting another magic jar before going to New Kasuto increases your chances of being able to get the item there, and having the spell already increases the chances of just being able to full clear it right in one go.
Correct. Holy encounters!
Oh my.
So many back here.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
So now that I'm down to 1 life, I'm going to be a lot more careful around these Dodongos and Lizalfos and just in general. I'm actually just going to ferry through this one. This is what I should have done to begin with.
Oh, ferry is still expensive.
Oh, there's the second one. So 2 jars on Maze Island. So now that item in New Kasuto, if we ever find the hammer, is guaranteed. And we have, this is 3 or 6. We have no way to tell until we dive in. So I'm actually going to head in here and see where we might wind up. So what I'm going to be doing is counting the number of large enemies in this room. This is Palace 3. I can tell by that key that's up there.
Oh boy, a bunch of blue iron knuckles right off the bat. Gotta love it.
So Palace 3 is a pretty good find early, as long as you have the glove. Palace 3 does require a glove most of the time, but it's a pretty small palace. Also, if you see me pausing on occasion, that is going to be to take notes. Oh, we already found the boss.
Oh, okay.
So what I'm going to try to do here is set up this boss for a quick kill, and it looks like we're going to get it. So that's accomplished by standing in a certain position and letting the boss Rebanek charge you. Unfortunately, I don't have enough experience to get attack 5 off of this gem, so I'm going to need to kill this blue dark nut to be able, or not the blue one, the red dark nut, to be able to get enough experience to be able to finish this palace. Now, the item in this palace is unknown. And given the number of items that are left and the number of items that we need, I think I'm actually going to dig this item out.
At this point, at worst, it would be either the last magic container or a heart container, which is not a bad thing in their own right. But if we can find the flute or the hammer, we already got a hint that the cross was in the east, which means it's not in a palace. So if the flute or the hammer are here, that would be a wonderful
That'd be amazing.
thing.
That'd be amazing, especially hammer. I think the best item we can find right now is hammer. And this is where I'm very happy to have the Thunder Spell. And the blue Dark Nuts have so much health that you might not even be able to take care of them completely with just the Thunder Spell. And we won't know about the other ones either, because the enemies in palaces have 2 different sets. One for 1, 2, and 5, and one for 3, 4, and 6. So the way I know where I'm going in palaces is those are also split by the 1, 2, 5, and 3, 4, 6 groups. In palaces 1, 2, and 5, the item will always be... You'll always encounter the item going left. In 3, 4, and 6, you'll encounter the items going right. So that's why I'm going right in every intersection that I find.
It's not a perfect method, but it usually works.
Well, it doesn't work that time. That's I believe, the only right-facing dead end that does not lead to either the boss or the item. Come here. Before the blue dark nut starts shooting at me, please.
Nicely done. And then you get sniped by the bear.
Just any of those enemy generators are just not fun.
Honestly, that one is probably one of the more annoying ones, if only because they seem to show up kind of often.
So now I'm going to choose to take my attack 3 and or magic 3 and life 4 because I have the 2 smallest palaces completed. Oh, that was a nice jackhammer. That felt good.
And the fact that it took that many hits to kill a blue iron knuckle at attack 5 is a pretty good thing, I think.
Oh yeah, they definitely rolled lower health. Here's our item room. That's probably the worst item we could have found, was the last jar.
Yeah.
But we do have that palace out of the way.
So, based off of what we've seen...
Hello? Dig Shake, we have a problem here. I have to update a leave.
Can't get to the bottom left from there.
Well, I need to go back to the west to do the other palace anyway.
True.
So this way I can get the west completely finished. I'm also starting to get very worried about Hammer and Death Mountain.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Like, Hammer and Death Mountain would just be no good. Okay, so this is 5. Now, 5 is one of those palaces that you do not want to dig the item out of. Just because of how big it is. But... Oh wait, no, we don't know if this is 5 yet. This is either...
No, if you attack the statue out front, you would have known for sure.
This is 2. Oh no, this is 2. This is 2. I'm fine with this.
Yeah, because the difference between 2 and 5, if you attack the statue out front, if it's a red magic jar, it's 2. If it's nothing, it's 5.
Oh man, these the blue dark nuts in this palace are really buff too.
Yeah.
You know what? I actually don't want to deal with this room. Yeah, I'm just not going to deal with that room right now. Hopefully it doesn't lead to anything. Because that, with the shooters there too, that's a nasty room.
Especially when one thunder is not enough to take it out.
And these are the highest magic levels that I'm going to have until we go to the end of the game as well, just because of the leveling strategy. And that is the drawback of maximizing your gem experience, is you won't get the higher experience levels on your magic and life until you're ready to go into Great Palace. But it makes sure that you have the high attack for Great Palace to be able to make the final bosses as bearable as possible. Because even with attack 8, those are not easy fights. So now this particular room requires jump or fairy to pass from the right to left direction, at least by the logic.
Yeah, I believe it is possible to make these jumps without it, but it's not easy.
It's annoyingly precise, but it is possible. The logic does expect you to have one of those two, though. And this sort of situation where you're really looking for just one key item is what'll make or break races, is who finds that key item first.
Oh yes, definitely. Well, there's the item room, though.
Of course. Just a little digger. I am really starting to think Hammer is in Death Mountain. Because there's way too much that's hammer locked is the problem.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think Death Mountain almost has to be like a play that's very soon. Okay, so 900 is going to be the clip. Thanks, Mago. 900 is going to be the cliff that I need to get over for Death Mountain, or for my attack levels. And that's a dead end.
I believe Palace 5 is, outside of Great Palace, is the biggest one.
Yes, Palace 5 I think is 47 rooms.
And as such...
No, it's not 47, it's 44. 44 rooms.
And as such, it is distressingly easy to get lost in here.
That is the single biggest reason why I make a map. Of just any palace other than one, because it's very, very easy to get turned around. And it's especially the case in Palaces 4 and 6, because Palaces 4 and 6, maybe you'll get to see why when we get there. The maps of Palaces 4 and 6 are not necessarily conformed to a Euclidean plane either.
Of course, Great Palace doesn't either.
Oh no, any palace with drops. Any palace that has drops in it does not necessarily need to conform to Euclidean geometry. Which gets really fun when you're trying to keep track of where you've been.
So let's hope we won't have to actually go through the firing squad upstairs.
That's what I'm really scared of right now. So that didn't lead to anything. So now, because we have the item in this palace, now I can just go right to try to locate the boss. I am still looking for a couple more experience points, though. Now we actually have enough. Yeah, we have enough now. That's not going to lead anywhere. I want to say we're running out of elevators, too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
yuck.
I
think it's behind the firing squad, yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I'm pretty positive.
Would you have a second for a message before you find the boss?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so please remember that even the smallest of donations are here to help. $1 can provide 4 children with treatment against pneumonia, a life-threatening illness, and $10 can provide high-nutrition peanut trays to a malnourished child for 10 days. So even the smallest of your donations can and will help save the children. All of your donations go straight to them and help in full. Thank you so much for all of your donations so far. Make sure to keep them coming. We're waiting for more. We're really close to going past $2,400 and soon $2,500 probably. Thank you very much.
Oh,
Wow.
of course.
Another... Wow, this is such a nasty room.
You got through it, though.
And this is our last elevator. This almost has to take us to Helmet Head. Yeah, that's the last elevator. That's just nasty. Just... How do I keep rolling seeds like this?
Technically, I was the one that rolled it, wasn't it?
Right. So I guess this means neither one of us are allowed to touch the bot. Then Ella giggle.
I think I think I have enough of a reputation for that as is. Because the couple of the tournament seeds that I've rolled was interesting.
There is also some variance to the boss health as well.
Although Helmet Head with attack 5 is not that bad.
Not too bad. I also failed to mark the completion of that palace as well. So then this will take us to attack 6. And that's the Western Continent all cleared out. I actually don't need to refresh that.
So, I guess our options at this point are Death Mountain and whatever palace is in Death Valley, which would have to be 4 or 5, right? Oh, no, we've seen 4. It was 5 or 6.
Yep.
The other one being at 3-Eye Rock.
Yep. So I think our... I'm seriously thinking it's Death Mountain. I mean, it's either Death Mountain or Palace 4, it's one of the two.
So, what would put the Death Valley Palace in logic, if it's not already?
No, it could be at the Death Valley Palace.
Okay.
There's nothing stopping it from being there. The problem is that's a 50-50 chance of either being... Like, it's either P5 or it's a palace that I know won't have the hammer. That's the problem.
Oh, right, because we got the hint for P6, right?
Yes, we know what is in P6. It would be a nice item to find, but I'm not gonna go looking for it if I find the boss first.
Right. Worst case scenario is that Reflect is in Ruto.
Alright, well, we found Ruto, so I can actually see where the... trophy... Oh, wait, I know where
we got the hint for the trophy. It was in P6.
Yeah. Right, because this is where the other... I have so much written down from this seed. I have so much written down from the seed that I can't remember anything. Keeping it all straight. So I'm just looking for the entrance to Death Mountain now.
No, I remember seeing
there was one entrance, but we haven't seen the other one yet. And the one entrance that we found only had one transport cave open immediately. There we go. There's the other entrance. And it's on the right side too, so...
Actually, this was the entrance I remember seeing.
Okay. Okay, so the boulder's nice and easy to find. That's immediately accessible.
Yep. Once you get the hammer, you can just walk on water to get to that one.
Get to that, yeah. We're just looking for the hammer cave. So the way you recognize the hammer cave is there are a bunch of Palace 1 pillars that are the same height as Link. If you find those, then that's how you know that you found the hammer cave. So if it's not here, if it's not in any of these easily accessible caves, then we're gonna have to go spelunking, and that's where things get really fun. And by fun, I mean not.
Having the boots does help, because it gives you access to some of these other ones that you wouldn't have had otherwise.
But still, it's not fun.
Yeah.
Especially since it's looking like this particular Death Mountain is highly segmented. From what I've seen. Alright, there we go. It's opening up a little bit. Bingo.
Yep. And also, that particular cave opening, like
what?
where the ceiling, it's like the ceiling.
That was... Something's wrong with my controller, because I should not be able to do that.
Okay, then. I was going to say, that particular entrance layout is also unique to Hammer Cave, so even if you didn't have the candle, you would be able to recognize that as Hammer Cave without being able to see the pillars.
Okay, so I should explain what just happened there. You should not be able to do that on a physical controller.
Was that a left plus right thing?
That was a left plus right input. And I am playing on a Super Nintendo controller. So that is a sign that my controller probably needs to be replaced.
Ooh boy, yeah.
Because you should not be able to do that.
At least it was largely inconsequential this time. And there's the hammer.
Yup.
Isn't it always fun when you see items in their vanilla locations?
Well, that one in particular is really, really bad.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to come here without the hammer because of the item location there. Which is why it was not only stabbed about a dozen times, but it was also struck by lightning.
And obviously you did that just to make it, imbue the hammer with the power of Thor. No other reason. Obviously.
Clearly. So, we're still looking for Reflect, but now we should be able to find... Now we should be able to find it relatively easily. Because we can go rescue the child.
Yeah, which is in a cave in the west, which
or
we
it
now
can just
have
be right
access to
there.
to.
Or
no,
it
can't be because I
was referring to the hammer. Or the flute, rather. So now we can just skedaddle on out of here. And then I'm gonna go check the rest of these boulder block locations to try to find our missing spell. But once we don't want to actually go on the bridge. Once we find this last spell, which is Reflect, we should be full Dig Shake. Which is that's the Zelda 2 Randomizer community's specific term for what is called Go mode in the general Randomizer community, which occurs when you have everything that you need to complete the game.
I thought full Dig Shake meant you had everything, period, but maybe I was just mistaken.
Yeah, full Dig Shake is specifically everything that is needed to finish the game.
Okay.
Still, that was... Oh, there's our child. Hey, we did it! We saved the children!
Yay! Alright, so we will have access to the spells in Darunia and New Kusuto now.
So I'm actually gonna gamble on this last boulder block location that's in Trophy Cave. And the reason why I'm doing this is because we'll have access to 2 spells in the east now. One in New Kusuto and one in Darunia.
Yep.
So I don't So I don't think it's the wisest use of time. I don't think it's the wisest use of time to go look for the last item unless we happen to have to pass right by it to be able to get to our destination, which I don't think we need to do because I believe that the last one is in the extreme corner of the Western continent. You know what? No, I am gonna check this because this cave is right by Rudo, and if this is the oh wait, no, we know where the
yeah, trophy's in P6.
Trophy's in 6. Yeah, that's right.
So I think by process of elimination, I think that other hammer block cave has to be a heart container.
I wouldn't mind having that though.
Yeah, because we know the other 2 items of significance: the cross is in the east, and the trophy's in P6. And the only things left are the 3 remaining heart containers.
Correct. And if Rudo does indeed have reflect, then new dealer blocks. Because that's just rude. And this is why I gave such a high conservative estimate, because I've had this happen.
And of course, you know, marathon luck being what it often is.
So now we just gotta head out east and locate the rest of these.
You know, as with that last cave, literally the only thing left in the west that we have to concern ourselves with is Great Palace itself.
Correct. Oh, and that is the edge of the map too. That's funny. I thought there was a tile over there, but apparently not. These have not been very friendly overworlds, I'll tell you that. Where even the boots haven't really helped out that much. I mean, they've helped. I mean, they've been provably required to finish the seed. But just in terms of being a convenience, they're not living up. They're not living up to that. So, if I remember correctly, we should be finding out whether saving the children is indeed the key to this seed. We're gonna find that out in about a minute. Having all the jars is gonna be nice, too.
Oh,
for
man.
Great Palace.
Yeah. Having more magic, having more health, it's never a bad thing.
Just gotta remember to actually cast Shield instead of casting Shield after you get hit twice.
Guilty.
I'm sure we're all guilty of that. Alright, is saving the children the answer? It is!
Oh, good!
It is! So now we are full Big Shake! We have everything we need to finish the game.
Yeah, not having life will hurt, but it's
doable.
We should still be fine. We should still be fine.
It's doable. I think I'm also just gonna pop into New Kasuto as well to check the items there for the exact reason that I do not have the life spell for GP.
I mean, I expect that to be the 2 remaining heart containers and possibly the life spell. That's 50-50.
Yeah, and I have to come up here anyway because there's a palace there.
Yep, it's right next to 3-Eye Rock.
Exactly, which like it was just up here anyway. And I don't have to go through. I don't have to go through those. I don't have to go through those desert encounters either.
Yeah, just with the flute, just get past the River Devil and be on your way.
It's roughly in this area. Yeah, I don't think there's any real harm to popping in here.
I mean, it's like you're not really going that far out of your way.
Exactly. If New Kasuto was in a much more remote corner of the world map, I would ignore it, but it's right here.
Oh.
Yeah, just a little digger. You also have to remember that with the 2 east caves and the 1 west cave that have minor items in them, there are 3 minor items in the major item pool.
I didn't think about that. Though I guess considering that there's still the items in 4 and 5 that we don't know about.
Correct. Actually missed the entrance. It's too busy reading chat. Okay, so that is fire.
Yeah.
So that means that the reflex or the that means that trophy in 6 is blocking life, which means we're never gonna see that, unfortunately.
Although one of the flags
unless
that is on is the fact that fire is linked with another spell.
Correct. And I haven't seen fireballs fly from Link's sword yet, so it could be possible that fire is linked to life.
Which, considering how cheap fire can...
Wow, what a rip-off, Kasuto, thanks.
Oh, okay then,
So that means that we actually know where all of the items are now. The items in Palaces 4 and 5 are heart containers.
Yeah.
So we know where everything is. So New Kasuto just having nothing but junk.
Yeah, although if it turns out fire is linked to life, and fire does get remarkably cheap at the higher levels.
Yeah, but given the number of palaces left, I don't know how many magic levels I'm going to be able to get. I'm kind of hoping that somehow we get enough experience out of this. I'm kind of hoping we get enough experience out of this P6 to be able to get there, but we would need like 3,000, and I don't think that's happening. I mean, if any palace is going to give you this much experience, it's either 5 or 6.
Although when you're only getting 50s and 70s, that doesn't help.
And I don't actually think there's been a single 500 bag in the entire drop table, because we've cycled through both the small drop table and the large drop table, and I don't think there's been a single one.
Yeah, that's not good.
So that room that we were in before, that room is the one room that requires Theory. Oh, there's 2 rooms that can require it, I'm sorry. But that room requires Theory, and this room does. And it leads to nothing. Thanks. Thanks, game. Thanks, game, for spending my entire bar of magic. So Palace 6 has a lot of drops in it.
And at least one series of drops just kind of loops around among itself.
That's possible in Palaces 4 and 6, where a drop can just loop to itself.
Or as in like a series of drops that would like 3 or 4 drops that just kind of...
Yes, that's actually how it is in vanilla.
Right.
Come on, Rebo, please. I was a half tile off on the Rebo quick kill.
So, Palace 6 is unique in that it has a couple of mini-bosses right here. And one of them is, I would presume, is on the way to Barba. The other one specifically guards the item, and this is not the one that guards the item.
Correct, this is the pass-through Rebo. Oh, okay. Well, this is a nice...
Okay. Well, guarding Barba, sure, why not?
And this is a nice, quick trip through Palace 6. Now, with Attack 6, Barba is going to take quite a few hits to deal with. And because of just the size of the platforms, it's very easy for you to get knocked back into the lava from a single hit. Even though Barba's fireballs don't have as much knockback as other bosses do, it's enough knockback that it can easily send you flying.
And as we saw earlier, the fireballs themselves do quite a bit of damage in their own right.
Well, I'm also only life 4, and the vanilla game basically expects you to be life 8 for this palace.
True. That's our 4th palace done.
So I think this is gonna be one of those situations where depending on what the attack 8 requirement is, I might not actually take attack 8. I'll have to see how much it is once I get to the correct experience threshold. Now, there was a freestanding palace that I gotta remember where it is. Back when we found... Oh, I should check fire. Fire is indeed life.
Good.
So that's a big sigh of relief for Great Palace. That the fire spell is actually also the life spell. Now, where was that palace?
I don't remember.
I am trying to remember where that palace was. Oh, okay. Okay, I see. I have, like, vague notes of where Palace 4 was.
You're better than me about that, I guess.
It's over kinda by the raft location.
Ah.
So even if I take a game over and I have a healthy number of lives, so it shouldn't be a problem. So that means that Palace 6 is in VOD. Yeah, Palace 6 has to be in VOD.
Yep. So, one thing that just crossed my mind, didn't we have a hint that said the cross was in the east?
No, cross is in 6.
No, the trophy's in 6.
Oh, the trophy's in 6. The cross is in the east. Yeah, you're right.
I'm just wondering, where could it be? Because I'm
trying to think where it could be.
Did we? We did get both. Did we? Actually, I think one of the item caves we didn't get. The drop-down item cave, I think.
I think you're right. Yeah, you might be right, but that's neither here nor there.
Right.
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter at this point.
I'm kind of nitpicking right now, mostly because I was looking at your tracker.
Yeah, we don't need the rosary. And when you're dealing with a randomly generated overworld map, finding landmarks to actually remember where stuff is can be really challenging. So I'm still trying to locate. Or I can just find Death Valley. I'm just gonna go ahead and get Death Valley out of the way. Why not? Oh, a nice short Death Valley, too. So Death Valley can have anywhere between 1 and 3 of these very nasty screens that you should just ferry over. Oh, thanks, Invisible Moa.
Oh, yeah, that sucks.
If there's Moas here... If there's Moas here, I think I'm just gonna try to skip these encounters. So what I was doing there to try to skip the fixed encounter by overwriting it with a what?
Oh, jeez, game, really?
Really? There are 2 of them here. There's like it's like a 5-tile long Valley of Death that has 2 of these encounters in it. Thanks, game.
For whatever it's worth, at least you got your life back.
Yeah. So this is... Alright, so this is 5. So 5 is the largest palace in the game that's not GP, and it's by far the most... I actually think that this palace is even more maze-like than GP. And I wanted to hold off on going to this palace specifically because the boss, Guma, takes a very long time to kill, almost regardless of your attack level, and is very, very dangerous.
And goodness knows he tends to hit hard no matter what your life level is, either.
That too, yeah. So I am actually starting to think that for our level situation, we're probably going to wind up on jackpot strats.
777?
That's what I'm thinking. We'll probably get to 777. I generally don't like going into Great Palace with anything less than Life 8, but given how things turned out, I don't think the seed is giving us much of a choice. Especially with how it forced us into Palace 1 to get the raft so early. There's Guma. So for Guma, I do actually want Quiet. And Melee Wizard, you can explain what's going on after the fight. There we go, got him. Okay, so Guma's Morning Star is the most damaging attack in the game.
And it doesn't help that his hitbox, when he's swinging around, getting ready to throw it, that can be deceptively large.
So that was actually a pretty quick Palace 5.
Oh yeah. I think any runner would gladly take a P5 that went like that.
$64.50. I think I have to do attack 8. It's just not enough. Like, it's not enough experience to throw into Life and Magic.
Oh, Well, we still have one more gem to place.
Yeah, we have one more gem, so that's fine. I just don't like the amount of experience that I'm going to get off of it.
Well, I mean, attack 9 is going to be a lot. Probably should be a lot more than that.
Hopefully.
Would you have a second for a quick donation?
Now I do, yes.
A couple minutes ago. Alright, we have $4 from Victor Santa Fe saying Zelda 2 Randomizer best game ever. And with that, we're just $5 away from $2,400. So if you're the one considering donating $5 to get us that round number, do it. Thank you so much for all the donations so far, and keep them coming. Thank you.
Thank you so much. If you like Zelda 2 Randomizer, follow Victor Santa Fe. He streams this regularly. He's a regular commentator in our community. Very, very talented player. Give him some love. So now it's just a matter of... Where is P4?
I honestly don't remember.
I am trying to remember where P4 is, because this is what happens when you take notes that are a little bit too vague. Like, I legitimately don't remember where P4 is. But we've got a lot of time to find it. The shortened GPs usually don't take that long. Yeah, that's one thing we did. That's one thing that was touched on a little bit before coming up beforehand. Because the Great Palace is so large, in Randomizer, you have the option to shorten it by anywhere between 25 and 50%. But like, where? I legitimately can't remember where Palace 4 is. And this can happen to anybody. I'm sure everybody ever who has played Zelda 2 Randomizer, or even any randomizer that has a that generates new world maps, such as Dragon Warrior Randomizer, has forgotten where something is.
Yeah, even just going in P4 was just a quick in and out. I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah, because we found it and we didn't have reflect. So maybe it's farther east than I'm remembering. That's entirely possible. That it could just be farther east than I'm remembering. Sorry about this, guys.
I'm pretty sure, I want to say we didn't have the boots yet. At the time. So it wasn't across the river.
Well, we were able to cross the river.
Yeah, it was just we didn't before getting the boots.
But this has absolutely happened to just about every runner that does these, even the best of runners. Like there was a tournament race I remember where Jay Coper forgot the location of Darunia and wound up losing a race because of it. And Jay Coper's really, really good. He's so good at just about all the retro Zeldas.
I think one of the places we hadn't rechecked was north of this Wilson encounter, and then head right.
That's where I'm gonna go next.
Okay. Yeah, the Wilson encounter being a reference to Home Improvement.
Yep, it was just one tile off screen. That's why.
Oh, of course it was.
But that's easy enough. That's easy for anybody to do. Yeah, sorry about that. Touche, Victor. So now in Palace 4, you're gonna find the item and the boss by going the same way. So we're just gonna head right until we can't head right anymore, and then when we can't head right, we're gonna head up. Now, Palace 4 does have more right-facing dead ends than any other palace in the game.
I believe it has 3 of those lava rooms in it.
Correct. Now, jump is not required to cross that pit, but it's very, very helpful.
Yeah, getting across there without jump is... I'm not sure if it's frame perfect, but it's very precise.
You have a half a block of error.
Well, hey, we've made it to the boss. And now for the hardest strategy in the game.
Good old RNG boss.
Yeah, just stand, crouch in the corner, and just wait for.
I'm gonna go back
to hit himself.
I'm gonna go back and kill some of these dragon heads. I'm just a little bit short on XP.
Yeah, one nice thing about these dragon heads, if you need some XP, those guys will always come back.
Okay, 8820. That's good enough. So now I just get to distribute these levels between magic and life, and not take attack 9.
Which is just a 1-up anyway.
Correct. It's very easy to accidentally take it if you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
So I do actually need to wait for this experience to tick up, because I am going to be upping back to the West Continent. Okay, we didn't take attack 9. So I'm gonna go life 7 and then dump the rest in magic, which should get us pretty healthy, maybe something like 867. Yeah, 867. That's good.
If nothing else, that should get the fire cost to go down pretty good.
It should. I'm gonna see what that's at. 14. Okay, yeah, we're good. We're good.
Yeah, yep. not even a full bar of magic. Yeah,
I think we can cast life like 9 times with that.
Yeah, close to it. Yeah, at least 8, maybe 9. Yeah.
It's 9. Now, how far? Oh, the old man is yelling at me.
I want to say...
I have notes saying that it was in the vicinity of... I think that might be it, actually, down there. That's either P1 or 7.
I think the one in the desert there, I think that was P1.
Yeah, that is 1. Oh, it's past this dumb screen again. But with our levels the way they are, it won't be an issue.
Well, just having fairy makes it a non-issue. goodness knows, it doesn't matter how much magic we use now. If it comes down to it, you can just obey afterwards. Oops.
Yup. I'm gonna just update. I think this is one of those cases where it was just one tile off screen.
Again.
Yep, there it is. So now I'm just gonna update or refresh my magic, and then we're gonna be headed into Great Palace. So we're gonna be looking for two things in Great Palace. We're gonna be looking for Thunderbird, and we're gonna be looking for Darklink. Darklink is always after Thunderbird.
At least in these flags, yes.
In this flag set, yes.
And if we're lucky, actually, if you find Thunderbird like really early, that can be kind of a bad thing because then you have the whole of GP afterwards.
Yes, but the other issue, the issue with finding Thunderbird late is any drop that you encounter can take you to before Thunderbird. And I tell you what, this fire being life is really saving my bacon right now.
Yeah, that's
because those,
shall we say, a lifesaver.
Those bird knights do a ton of damage. They do 2 bars on life 7, which is insane. And that's the Mobius room. So it looks like we're taking the Eon drop. I want to give a quick shout out to Enchantress of Numbers, Zelda 2 Vanilla and Randomizer player. And that just leads to itself, so we're headed left. So generally speaking, to locate Thunderbird and Darklink, you want to head to the right. But what you'll often see players do is if they feel they're behind in a race, is they'll take the first left turn in Great Palace and then head right.
So that's the third way we got to that room already. That's crazy.
That's every single way you can get to that room. The left side, the right side, and the drop. Oh, hey, there's Thunderbird.
Yeah, and as mentioned, there's pretty much the entirety of Great Palace after Thunderbird, so that's lovely.
So a lot of players don't like jump for this fight, but I actually prefer jump. And it's not about making this fight easier, it's about making the fight faster. Because the fireballs can get really crazy once Thunderbird gets to half health, and if you don't cast jump, you can only reach Thunderbird by standing on the platform while Thunderbird is at the bottom of the movement cycle.
Alright, so let's see what options we're given. Which, this isn't exactly an option, but let's see where it goes.
Now, you do need to remember that we have seen one drop destination already. So if we take a drop and we see a room that was like the one we were in, that particular drop can take us to before Thunderbird.
Actually, I think the only...
I don't have enough magic.
I think the only drop destination we saw was Mobius, right?
No, there's one other drop destination that we saw.
Okay.
It was one of those open rooms with the elevator.
Ah.
Oh yeah, I think every type of room in Great Palace has a name. This one is called the Fun Room, as you can see why.
Especially when there's bird knights in here.
Yeah, that's a thing too. And this is one of those drop destinations I was talking about. So if we'll try to get all the ones that we run into and try to just shout out all the runners. We might be looping. There are a lot of rooms in Great Palace that look exactly the same, so it can be difficult to tell if you're looping.
I think the only way to tell difference is...
Oh yeah, we're looping. We're looping.
Oh, boy.
We are absolutely looping. So... So I think we need to go through... I should have grabbed that one up. So we need to go left from this room. Because going right is just a loop.
Yeah.
This is a waffle room. Because the blocks are shaped like a waffle. And if there are bird knights in here, then it's called a chicken and waffle room. You don't want to see chicken and waffle rooms, they're just awful.
Yes. Yeah. They very much are.
Hi Buzz Thunder, how are you doing today? Shoutouts to Buzz Thunder.
So when he spawns in the waffles, he tends to go straight to the top and is not really a threat to anyone.
There's also a lot of false floors in Great Palace that you need to be aware of. But you will find those. This, I believe, is the Jackamus room. Victor can correct me if necessary, but I believe that is the Jackamus room.
That is a drop.
Yeah, this is
somewhere.
This is a drop. So I'm a little bit worried about taking this, but it's taking us to a place where we can only go forward. So
that's a good thing.
That's generally a good sign. If you get to a drop, where you can only go one way that's right, then that's just generally speaking a good sign.
Still can only go in one direction.
This is looking... I think this might be the drop destination that I was worried about finding. Because we may have seen this chicken and waffle room before. I think this might be the first one we found. I think it is. Maybe not.
I don't remember that particular elevator room enemy combination.
No, I don't either. So I'm actually gonna turn back and try going right here. Nope, that's dead end. So as you can see, when you're trying to map out Great Palace, it can get very complicated.
Even in vanilla, it can get very complicated.
Well, at least the map of GP in vanilla follows Euclidean geometry. This does not. Theater room.
I want to say those diagonal bubble things are not actually in the vanilla game.
They're in the code for the vanilla game. They're just unused.
Right? Yeah. That's what I meant.
I think we have another loop.
Uh-oh. That's not good.
Because I think we've seen that dead end before.
I don't remember seeing that blue bird knight, though.
Oh no, this is new, this is new.
Ah.
I am starting to get a little concerned, though, because this is my last life. Or we can just find Dark Link, cool.
That works.
That was kind of a crafty GP, to be honest, with all the turns it was taking.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
time is coming up when the screen fades back to its normal colors after the purple and black once we kill Dark Link. So, or in this case, Dark Error. Thankfully, you can just cheese him by standing in the corner and constantly swinging your weapon. And time.
Yeah, it's not exactly foolproof, but it gets the job done.
So I felt that wasn't too bad considering the seed, other than the debacle with just forgetting where Palace 4 was.
Yeah.
Like,
Which
realistically, a hammer in Death Mountain that's required, you're gonna last location that. Just realistically.
Yeah. Unless you're in a race and you're going Galaxy Brain on it, yeah, you're not going Death Mountain early without the hammer if you can help it.
But you're only gonna do that against an opponent that you feel you're quite outmatched in. But thank you so much to the NASA crew for letting us show this. Want to give some shout outs to some other people in the community. Shout outs to Trails, who originally wanted to do the commentary for this run, but he couldn't make it because of other obligations. Just shout outs to some of the other talented racers that we have in the community. Rose City Saint, Link Sevens, Amazing Ampharos, Elsoa. There's just so many people that keep this community alive, up and running in the way it is, and of course, big shoutouts to Dig Shake for putting this together. Without his efforts, there would be none of this would ever happen, and we wouldn't be getting this much endless replayability out of a very cruel and punishing NES title called Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. So big shoutouts to Dig Shake. And good luck to all the rest of the runners in the event. If you liked what you saw, you'll get to see me one more time tomorrow running The Legends of Zelda for NES. And with that, we've got a pretty stacked schedule coming up for the rest of the night. We have a couple of Sailor Moon runs. We have a Street Fighter run coming up. We have a Toho run, and then Super Metroid, low percent ice. Don't miss any of that. It's super stacked tonight.
Alright, welcome back to NASA 2020. Hope you had fun with the randomizer. We're gonna play some marbles in a second. So, as soon as we get ready, make sure you type !play, I think it is, in the chat. Okay, so to play with us, just type !play, and you'll appear on the screen, and we'll start in a couple of seconds.
Fight.
10 people. Anyone else? Anyone late? !play to be in marbles with us. $11. Right, waiting it just a while more, just to make sure everyone gets in. All right, I think we're set with that. So let's go with 11 racers. They're like way ahead of everyone else. And I mean way ahead. Holy moly, okay. Nice. Yeah. Cool. Thanks. Okay, Zelda gets stuck pretty hard. Oh. Okay, are we good? Are we good? Yeah, we're good. What happened to everyone else? What? Okay, Vars is going. Vars and myself are going behind him. Alright, we have Daleduck still in the lead, it seems, with everyone far behind. Nice. Just a second. Timrod and Vars are really close to each other, closing on the second place. And wait, did Daleduck just fall off the map? What? What? Okay. So I guess Timrod and Vars were the first ones. I assume either of them, like, one of them had to be the winner. Yeah, so Dale Duck was in the lead for pretty much the entire race, aside from the very end. So thank you so much for participating in Marbles. We'll see you in intermission in just a second. Alright, so yeah, welcome back. Welcome back to NASA 2020. Just a reminder, we are gathering money for Save the Children, and it seems like we have some new donations. We have $40 from Dose Rena with no comment. Thank you very much. And that donation is going towards the Sailor Scout choice in Bishouyo Senshi Sailor Moon R for the Game Boy. Is that it? I hope that was it. For Sailor Jupiter, with Jupiter, which means let's see, which means Sailor Jupiter is at $50 right now, with literally no other option to even cope with that, just because every other option is at 0. That bid war is choosing between Sailor Jupiter, Sailor Mars, Sailor Mercury, Sailor Moon, and Sailor Venus. And only Sailor Jupiter is being paid for right now and is at $50, with the rest being equal at 0. Right, that would be it for my shift, and I would like to thank you all for sticking here with me, and I would like to introduce the next host to you, which is gonna be Dale Duck, who almost won in our last round of Marbles. So please welcome him warmly. Thank you very much.
What's up, everyone? It's your boy Dale Duck. Hopping in again. Broke the stream twice last weekend. Let's go for 0 this time. Still a little bit angry about falling off the map, but you know, it is what it is. Hope everyone's having a good night tonight. So, yeah. Do we have any donations? Anything? It does not look like we have any donations, so I'm just gonna go ahead and give everyone the rundown on what kind of bid wars are coming up, and what all I think you should donate for, because, you know, my opinion trumps all of you because I'm the one on the stream. So coming up immediately is going to be Octopath Traveler, so if anyone wants to snipe and have us be using the English voices, you can donate $1.01 right now to make that happen. Coming up after that, the next one is, this is going to be a hard one, Bishoujo Senshi Sailor Moon R. You can choose which Sailor Scout to play as. You can choose Jupiter, Mars, Mercury, Moon, or Venus. It looks like currently there's $10 for Jupiter and 0 for anyone else. I think because the game is called Sailor Moon. I don't know anything about the characters, but I want the character to be Sailor Moon. So if anyone wants to be nice and donate $11 for your boy Dale Duck, I would absolutely encourage you to do so. And even if you don't want to put it towards that, I would still encourage you to do so, because Save the Children is a very good cause. So, anyway, that's about all I have. We're a little bit behind schedule, so I'm going to go ahead and send it over to our Restream team to play a short video about the charity, and then we're going to get on with the run. So, yeah, enjoy.
بلبنان عايشين في خيمتنا صايرة جملون عايشين فيها أنا وأمي وأخواتي وأبوي. أتذكر أحلامي الحلوة، أتذكر بيتنا كيف كان، بس هلأ انهدم. نرجع على بيتنا ونعيش بسلام بس. لما جينا رحلنا لهون صار حالتنا ضيقة كتير. أنا رحت أشتغل بالاستيراد، صاروا الزعران بعيطولي بيقولوا لي أنا بعطيك مصاري وتعي معي. شغل في زعران بيلطشونا بالمدرسة، ما في حدا بيلطشنا، في استاذية واستاذيات. تعلمت إنه نحن بهذا العمر لازم هلا بنكون على المدرسة منه نصير كبار. عطتنا مبلغ تساعدنا الأطفال.